I'm Mike Hannewald, field agronomist with Beck's Hybrids, standing out here in a wheat field today. I've had several questions over the last week or so about as the weather warms up and the wheat greens up, what should we be thinking about doing some springtime management to this wheat, particularly nitrogen applications. So with some of the unusually warm weather that we've had this spring, the wheat's greening up a little bit ahead of schedule, and so does that mean we need to move our nitrogen applications up? So a couple things to think about. First of all, we need to evaluate the stand that we have. And so the best way to do that is to count the number of tillers. And so we're looking for number of tillers per square foot. And so if we're in 7.5-inch rows like we're in today, you measure out 19.2 inches on a tape measure, and that 19.2 inches a row is 1 square foot. If you're in different row spacings, you can take a look at the numbers on your screen and you'll see what distance, length of row that is. Now, what we're looking for is 70 to 100 tillers per square foot. Now this year, we've seemed to have very good stands of wheat coming out of winter with the warmth that we had in November last fall, plus the fact that a lot of the wheat was planted fairly timely in October. Then that warmth in November allowed for good fall growth. We got good tillering in the fall, and then the fairly mild winter that we had has contributed to this as well. And so in this particular field, we did a tiller count. We were at 152 tillers per square foot. So we're sitting in really good shape in this situation. I think most fields across Ohio are in that situation. So then the next thing becomes is when's the right time to be putting nitrogen on? And so most of the time we look at either a 2-pass or a 1-pass program of nitrogen. The 2-pass program is most beneficial when you're trying to stimulate spring tillers. However, when we've got tiller numbers well above the ideal range, we really don't need to add any additional at that point. And so there's going to be less need for an early pass of nitrogen this year. So a single pass program is going to get the job done in most cases. When's the right time to do that? It can be tempting with some of these warm days that we've had to get out there and get that nitrogen applied. However, I would recommend waiting until we start to see some vertical upward growth. So that would be around the Feeks 5 growth stage. And so that's when that wheat starts to straighten up and grow upwards and get a little bit of height to it. We want to be done with our nitrogen applications prior to the Feeks 6 growth stage, which is that first joint, when you can find that first joint in the stem just above the surface of the soil. But we've got quite a ways before we need to be worried about that growth stage coming up. And so I think we've got some time, and I would encourage you to be patient. As we have springs in Ohio, it's not uncommon to get big, heavy rains, and that can wash some of the nitrogen off the field or can leach it down deeper into the soil and make it unusable. And with the fact that prior to Feeks 6, wheat needs very little nitrogen to get it started in the spring. And so if we get it done by that Feeks 6 growth stage, then it's all applied prior to the rapid growth phase, which starts shortly after that. And so keep an eye on your wheat, watch for that upward growth, and make that application timely, but it's not something that we need to be in a real big hurry for when the wheat is just starting to green up but hasn't yet begun to grow. As far as nitrogen rates, that's a question that I've been getting with wheat prices being a little bit lower this year than what we experienced the last few years. What rate should we be applying? We have 7 years of PFR data that has found that the ideal rate is around that 95 to 105 pounds range, and so you can see that on your screen, and it varies based on your cost of nitrogen, but that's going to get the job done in most situations. And so think about that. We also recommend running a 10-to-1 ratio of nitrogen to sulfur, very similar to our recommendation on corn. So for every 10 pounds of nitrogen that you apply 1 pound of sulfur, and that will keep that sulfur to help that nitrogen be utilized efficiently by that wheat and help to maintain its health early in the season. If you have any questions about these or any other agronomic topics, feel free to reach out to myself or your local Beck's representative, and we'd be happy to help. Thank you.